Welcome everybody to the season finale of the Great River. This is the end of season 18. All good things come to an end, but new beginnings arise, because behind me, this bridge will lead to the plains of Eastern Rohan, which is going to be the site of the next season, season 19, so I do hope you are excited about that. This episode is going to focus on me showing you all of the deeds here in the Great River region, so you can look forward to that. As a reminder, you can go to my website at renaissancegaming.net/lotro.html, and you can scroll down to my completionist checklist where you will see every area in every season of the game that I've done up until now, and there will be a list of all the quests and all the deeds in each of those regions, and you can see which ones I've done, which ones I have not done, and of course the ones I have not done are the ones I will be coming back to in the future. This is a 100% playthrough, so I am doing every quest and every deed before moving on to another area. And so, with all that out of the way, I'm going to follow the same format that I usually follow for these last episodes of a season. So first things first, I do like to go into a new area with a new title for my character that pertains to the preceding season. So in this case, I am now Kippen Proudfeet, Hero of the Anduin. So that is very exciting. Next up, let me talk about my gear. Usually I do like to try and update my gear going into a new season. However, not gonna lie to you guys, I'm being pretty lazy. My gear is getting critically outdated. These are all still level 75. Most notably, my weapon is still a level 75 weapon. So I am in dire need of getting new gear and new equipment, but I'm being lazy and I don't really want to do that just yet. But I promise, after the Rohan season in Eastern Rohan, I will update these things, because I think I can get a level 85 first stage weapon, so maybe once I hit that threshold I can get that, and then I can update everything else as well. But I am pretty outdated, I understand that, and I appreciate you guys' patience with my impatience of actually going through and updating everything. It just seems, I don't know, I have to put so much effort into crafting new gear or finding it in the auction hall, and it takes a lot of work, and I feel like just a few episodes later, it's already outdated anyway, so I'd rather try to hold on to stuff for a long time and then just do a big update every once in a while. So, let me look at some other things though, like this for example. I'm still going to be running a red line, so I'm just going to keep pumping points into this. So let me just apply, alright. So I'm still running red line. Again, I haven't even tried blue line and yellow line yet, and probably won't until more towards endgame, when I get towards max level and I'm doing other things. For now, I like going red line because that gives me a little bit less survivability, but a lot more damage. And since I am over leveled, it'll be nice to kind of burn down enemies quickly so I can keep a good pace to the episodes. That's my strategy behind that. In terms of the race traits, again, these are pretty much set in stone for the rest of the playthrough, because there's really not any new ones coming out or new ones that I'm going to unlock. And I've got the best one equipped. Hobbit Stature giving me 125 might. Hobbit Stealth, sometimes I use it. And then Return to Mickle Delving. Hobbit Club Damage oh no, I accidentally took it off. I right-clicked it. Anyways, Hobbit Club Damage Bonus. This gives me just a passive 5% bonus to club damage, which is really good because obviously my first stage I made as a club specifically for that reason. It's just basically 5% extra damage for doing nothing, which is nice. And then Hobbit Silence, if I'm ever in a sticky situation, I can do my Hobbit Silence and drop aggro like that. Okay, and then my Virtues. Again, with the new virtue system, what happens is you can level these up to half of your current level. So, for example, I'm level 84, so the max I can get these up to is 42, as you can see. So, I am running the more offensively minded virtues. So, Determination giving me all that agility and physical mastery and critical rating, which is very important for a warden. And then I've got my Discipline, which gives me a little bit of resistance, which is good. That helps me with my survivability. And then Loyalty is also going to help me with my survivability with that vitality, that armor, and incoming healing rating. And that incoming healing also pertains to my healing gambits, so again, it gives me a lot of survivability. Honor is giving me a lot of mitigation and morale. And then I have Tolerance, which is giving me even more mitigation. So, again, I got 1 offensive virtue and then 4 defensive ones. So I kind of want to change that up. I kind of want to get a little bit more aggressive. I really like this new virtue that they have, Wit, which has finesse, critical rating, physical mastery, all that good stuff. So I think I want to use that as opposed to Tolerance. So I am going to do that. And then let's see what else we can do. Justice is also kind of defensive. So I guess you can kind of look here. It kind of gives you an idea. See, so the little sword indicates it's more of an offensive virtue, and then the little shield would indicate a little bit more defensive. So let's look at Valor. It's got physical mastery, critical rating, and then the passive bonuses give you some physical mastery and all that. So I don't know why they classified this as a sword one, because to me that's actually a little bit more... Oh, never mind. Physical mastery, not physical defense. Okay. So yeah, I kind of want to go with this Valor. Let me see what I can exchange for it. Let's see. I kind of want to change out my honor for Valor. So let's do that. And then... Honesty. What will honesty get me? Not too much. Confidence gives me a lot of evade and finesse rating and a lot of critical rating too, which is good. I think I'm going to keep it like this for now. So now I'm going to have 3 offensive and 2 defensive ones, and I think that is a good little mix for that. Okay, so next up, let us talk about the deeds of the Great River, which are in the Rovanian tab, and then let me go to the Great River and obviously complete it here. So there's a lot of the exploration deeds, and then there are the Slayer deeds, so on and so forth. So Ancient Ruins is an exploration deed, and then you got Brownland Explorer, Discovery of the Roots of Fangorn, Eorlsmead Explorer, and then the meta deed for exploring all the regions. You got the Limlight Gorge, Parth, Celebrant, Rushgore, Stangard, Thinglad, Wailing Hills, and then the Spirits of the Limlight is a little bit of a special deed, which I'll talk about. And then you got all the quest deeds for doing all the quests in the Great River, which obviously is what I've been doing this entire season. So I got all that. And then Savior of the Roots of Fangorn, that's for the instance here, the Roots of Fangorn, which I did, I think it was around the halfway mark of the season. Then of course you got all your Slayers. You got Beast, Brigand, Easterlings, Orcs, you got Shades, you got, what else, Spiders, Titans, all that good stuff. So, let's quit yapping and get to the action of the episode. Let me show you some of those deeds. The first exploration deed is Brownlands Explorer. The Brownlands were once a greenland, lush with vegetation, until war and corruption turned them into a desolate wasteland. The first landmark is Ethelberg. Ethelberg is a waypost of the Rohirrim border guard. It is the last bastion of defense for the Rohirrim before entering the Riddermark itself. The next landmark is Hellstore. Long have brigands and ruffians used the Brownlands as a hideaway. Hellstore is their last refuge in that desolate place. Next is Loshkarg. The Kundalar, Easterlings descended from the horde that fought the Lords of Gondor and the ancestors of the Rohirrim at the Field of Celebrant, have returned, prepared for war. Next is the desolation of the gardens. These ancient and ruined gardens once blossomed at the caring hands of the Antwives before war ravaged them. Finally, there is the Stonehole. This network of caves houses a tribe of wild trolls who have chosen to inhabit the Brownlands. The next exploration deed is Eorlsmead Explorer. Eorlsmead is on the distant northern border of Rohan, a watchpost against the evils of the north. The first landmark is the abandoned farm. This farm was once lovingly tended by the farmers of Stangard, but it has long been left abandoned. Next is the Fetid Caves. These caves are a den to a pack of wild dogs which haunts the men of Stangard. Next is Stangard. You have discovered the Great Rohirrim settlement of Stangard, the North Watch of Rohan. You find it a bit shabbier than you expected from so great a town. Next is the Eorlsmead Tower, a great tower of questionable purpose, standing tall in its watch over Eorlsmead. Finally, there is the Teeming Nest. You have happened upon an unfortunate set of tunnels carved out by vile worms in the Eorlsmead. The next exploration deed is Limlight Gorge Explorer. The Limlight Gorge has always been a wild and sparsely inhabited area, but since a band of trolls came from the Misty Mountains, what few inhabitants there were fled the rocky slopes. Massive creatures now inhabit the gorge, making travel through the area perilous, and it is said that even the trees themselves sometimes move about, perhaps thanks to some strange magic from the neighboring forest of Fangorn. The first landmark is the Limlight Gatehouse. When the last inhabitants of the Limlight Gorge were driven out by the arrival of trolls from the Misty Mountains, the Rohirrim erected this guard post to keep an eye on the entrance to the gorge and ensure that nothing came out unseen. Luckily, the trolls dare not stray too far from the caves and ledges they take cover beneath during cloudless days, and so they have not made an attempt to come up out of the gorge. Next is the Limlight Falls. The Limlight Falls mark the bottom extent of the foothills leading down from the Misty Mountains as the rushing river empties out towards the plains to the south. The cold rushing stream ensures a steady supply of fresh water for the community of Stangard. Next is the Ent Grove. The northernmost extent of the forest of Fangorn ends here, at the banks of the Limlight River. The Ents have long had a small gathering place here, where they would long ago meet with the elves of Lothlorien and learn the news of the outside world. Next is the Fallen Watchtower. This ancient Gondorian tower once watched over the Limlight Gorge. To what purpose, or against what threat, no one today remembers, for it fell into ruin long, long ago. Next is the Pothole. This old river pothole remains from a long time past, when the Limlight's course ran up further the gorge. It left this oddly smooth pit behind as it shifted course. Now, alas, it seems that trolls have taken up residence within its deep shadows. Next is the Prospector's Shack. This may once have been a homestead or a hunting cabin down in the gorge, but more recently it has been a waypost for a band of prospectors and treasure seekers exploring the gorge for valuable minerals. Finally, there is the Old Sawmill. This old sawmill was built some years ago by the men of Stangard before the trolls arrived and drove them away. More recently, it appears that a band of hardworking, but obstinately foolish dwarves have been trying to restore the mill to working order. The next exploration deed is Parth Celebrant Explorer. Parth Celebrant is an old crossroads and battlefield that holds a long significance to the Rohirrim as the birthplace of their kingdom. The first landmark is Idmar's camp. This is the camp of the Rohirrim warden Idmar. Next is the Field of Celebrant. This great field is where the Battle of the Field of Celebrant took place, when the men of Gondor and the men of the North drove forth the Easterling horde. Rohan became a nation. Next is Hordfjord. Hordfjord is a fortress erected by brigands who stole into Parth Celebrant to thieve the relics there, only to be swayed by the servants of Mordor. Next is Celebrant. Celebrant was once a great fortress of Gondor before it fell to the treachery of Oathbreakers. Now it houses the shades of the betrayers and their evil allies. Finally, there is the Murderous Pit. This place has become the den of a pack of ravenous wolves, which have turned to cannibalism for the lack of food. Next is Rushgore Explorer. The marshes of the Rushgore have long been uninhabited, or so the border guard of Rohan believed. Besides wild beasts, villains of a two-legged variety have recently come. The first location is Akulf's camp. The small campsite is held by Akulf and his companions, a small patrol to watch over what was supposed to be uninhabited territory. Next is Atburg. This encampment was established as a waypoint for the brigands of the Brownlands who seek to plunder Parth Celebrant for ancient relics. Next is Wormden. This place is a breeding ground for the Avank of Rushgore, a dangerous place for the unwary. Next is the Creeping Mud. The Creeping Mud is in fact a nest of wild gridbig which dwell within the Rushgore. Next is Tikbotok. Tikbotok is an encampment of scouts of an Easterling tribe called the Kundalar, descendants of the horde who battled Gondor and the ancestors of the Rohirrim at the fields of Celebrant. Finally, there is the Clutch Ground. Turtles of great size inhabit the Rushgore, and this is their nesting place. The next exploration deed is Thinglad Explorer. The elves of Lorien have an outpost in the little-known woods of Thinglad, a great place in winter that runs along the edge of the Great River. The first location is Foulmaw's Den. Foulmaw is an old and ugly bear, huge and horrible of temper. Next is Haldarith. Haldarith, a ruined garden of elves, is where the sentinels of Thinglad have made their home. Next is the Old Burrows. The den, long abandoned by its former inhabitants, has been lately reclaimed by vicious wargs. Next is Ungund. Orcs have begun to settle in Thinglad for the first time in many a year. This is surely a sign of evil days to come. Finally, there is His Urdan. Orcs seem to be everywhere these days, even in the once peaceful woods of Thinglad, so near to Lorien's edge. The next exploration deed is Wailing Hills Explorer. The Wailing Hills, northwest of Stangard, are so named due to the many great battles and slaughtering of orcs that occurred there many years ago, around the time of Rohan's founding. The first landmark is the Kuthstan, the Stone of Friendship, where Kirion, the Steward of Gondor, and Earl, the first king of Rohan, met on the battlefield as a victorious ally. The monument commemorates their oath and friendship and service. Next is Frithstan's camp. A small group of Rohirrim, led by Frithstan, guard the south of the Wailing Hills. Their primary task is to keep safe the Kuthstan monument. Next is the Ninkhai camp. This is a recently constructed orc encampment. The Ninkhai have boldly abandoned their mountain homes to live in huts and tents along the northern edge of the Limlight River. Next is the Morhai settlement. The Morhai orcs have grown in number and tenacity. They have begun constructing war camps beyond the safety of their dark mountain dwellings, in order to more directly provoke the men of Stangard along the road. Next is the secluded clearing. Landreval and Menaldor, two of the great eagles in the service of Gwaihir the Windlord, selected this secluded clearing as a safe location to regroup, after splitting up to search the area. Next is Venombite Cave. This large cave in the mountainside is the central breeding grounds of the Venombite spiders, a breed renowned for their venomous fangs. Finally, there is the Astra Hill, named for the bright star-shaped flowers that blanket each ridge. This hilltop has become a favorite grazing spot for wild goats native to the region. The final exploration deed is Stangard Explorer, to discover all of Stangard's interiors. The first location is the Mead Hall. The Mead Hall of Stangard is where Stanric and the other Rohirrim conduct the majority of their business. Next is the Lockhouse. The Lockhouse is guarded closely by Sinred, and none may enter without strict permission from the leadership of Stangard. Here are all the things that must be locked up, from food stores to prisoners. Next is the Skirmish Hall. The Skirmish Hall is where all skirmish-related business is done. Next is the auction hall. The auction hall is rarely used by the men of Stangard, but the auctions of Middle-earth can be viewed here. Next is the Stangard Vault. The Stangard Vault offers only the most secure place to store your cherished items. Next is the Stangard Tavern. Where the burdens of the day become overwhelming, the Stangard Tavern serves as a place to relax and quench thirsts. Next is Stanric's house. This house near the Mead Hall is home to Stanric, the Lord of Stangard. Next is the Stangard Kennel. Atholf alone cares for the gentle dogs that inhabit the kennel of Stangard. Next is the Stangard Stable. Undesired weather can force the horses of Stangard indoors. The stable helps provide warmth during those winter months. Next is Wada's house. This is home of the workman Wada, an overworked and underfed resident of Stangard. Next is the Legendary Item Store. The Legendary Item Store employs the only two soldiers in Stangard that have mastered the forging and imbuing of legendary items. Next is the Supplier's house. The Supplier lives here, but the supplies in this house belong to him, not you. Next is the Provisioner's house. The Provisioner lives here, but the provisions in this house belong to him and not you. Next is Bernstan's house. Bernstan is a loyal guard of the Mead Hall and does his work with little compensation. Next is Dunstan's house. Dunstan's home is now unoccupied, for this brave hunter was slain by orcs in Thinglad. He will never sleep in his bed again, for his grave is under the eaves of the great trees of Thinglad. Next is Uthrod's house. Uthrod is a guard loyal to Sithric. It's best not to cross him. Next is Tatwine's house. Tatwine is a gentle farmer who tends to the horses of Stangard, day in and day out. He wants nothing more than some land to tend to, but he is not permitted to do any farming. Next is the Abandoned House. Long abandoned, this home strikes fear into the hearts of any man living in Stangard. All those that enter are never heard from or seen again. Next is Adalbart's house. Adalbart is a guard loyal to Stanric. It's best not to cross him. Finally, there is Sabert's house. Sabert is your friend. He guards the front gate of Stangard and greets you whenever you come and go. The next deed is called Ancient Ruins of the Limlight. Look for traces of the ancient legacy of the Limlight Gorge, when it was still part of the Golden Wood many ages ago. The first set of ruins is the Ancient Elf Ruins. A few ancient stones remain here among the rocks. It's hard to say, but they may be of elf make. Next are the Mysterious Elf Ruins. The few remaining chunks of masonry and stonework you found suggest that the elves once lived here, but it must have been an age of the world at least since that time. Next is the Tumbled Elf Ruins. Covered with ancient lichens, you find the final crumbling remnants of an elf ruin. What purpose could the elves have had so long ago that brought them here? Next is the Hallowed Elf Ruins. These ruins look even older than the rest, if that is possible. You cannot even begin to guess at what their purpose might have been. Next are the Engraved Elf Ruins. These old elf ruins appear to have some strange markings carved upon them. You have some considerable difficulty deciphering the odd runes, until finally you realize that they are rather a recent addition, likely made by the men or dwarves surveying the gorge after the structure fell to ruin. Finally, there are the Crumbling Elf Ruins. These ruins are so ancient that there is no sign of what brought them to this state, whether it was war, calamity, or the passing of some vast span of time that crumbled them to all but nothing. This next deed is called the Spirits of the Limlight, and you have to unlock this deed after completing the previous one with the ruins. Greetings, Wanderer. Your bravery does you credit, but this is no place for mortal spirits. Even the elves come here no longer. Long ago, this place lay under the protection of my lady's power, and it was here that the trees were taught to speak. So after you complete the deed with the ruins, Odrian gives you this deed in which he instructs you to speak with the spirits of the gorge itself. Now, these spirits are only active at night, so you have to come here in the gorge in the middle of the night. What is it you seek here? The lady long ago withdrew her power from this place, leaving us to act as its custodians. I long to return to the west, but so too does the memory of this land to hold me here. Till at last, all that stood here is no more, and those memories are no longer needed. Once, two ancient forests came together, and so the firstborn and the shepherds of the forest communed over the nature of the world under the tutelage of our mistress. But the elves left long ago, and the trees speak rarely now, and it has become a lonely, wild place. I often find myself dancing to the music of the birds and the river, but I do miss the songs of the firstborn. Perhaps I wish that they would return someday. Alas, I do not think that is likely. It was long ago that we aided the elves, helped teach them the secrets of the trees that they might speak with them, and so teach them to speak in turn. But even the trees have now grown old, and most are wild, and few remember any of the words that they learned so long ago. Here we remain after the forest itself has retreated, with little to remind us of the past save these tumbled remains. Even those shall soon be gone, and then what shall we remember? I suppose then at last we shall return into the west. Next are the Slayer deeds here in the Great River, beginning with Beast Slayer deed. I find that the best place to get this done is by killing some of these wolves here in the marauding pit. Really not too bad. Next is the Brigand-slayer deed, and this one is pretty simple as well. This little camp of brigands provides a good amount of them with good respawn rate, so it shouldn't take you very long at all. Next is the Easterling-slayer deed, and thankfully the Easterling encampment in the Brownlands has a ton of these guys in it. So you can just run through here a couple times and get a bunch of them. Next is the Orc Slayer deed. And there are two orc camps that you can kind of alternate between. They're pretty close together, and together they do provide a constant, steady supply of orcs.
Come on, shut up.
Next is the Shade Slayer deed. And there are a bunch of shades here in the fields of Celebrant, near the battlefield. And so this Slayer deed is not a problem at all either. Next is the Spider Slayer deed. And this one is a little bit more frustrating just because there are not as many spiders. But this little area outside the cave where you rescued the eagle is probably the best place. Next is the Titan Slayer deed, and so you have to defeat enemies in the Limlight Gorge, including the spiders, or the trolls, or the tree horns. All three of those will count. This one takes a while because obviously they have a lot of morale and it takes a lot of effort to fight these. Very good. Next up, I want to show you some of the reputation factions that are here in the Great River. So there are two reputation factions here in the Great River. One of them is the Heroes of the Limlight Gorge, and the other one is the Stangard, the Riders of Stangard. So, in order to gain your reputation with the Heroes of the Limlight Gorge, you can either kill a bunch of the enemies over in that region, or you can do the Roots of Fangorn instance, or there are some repeatable quests that you can do as well. Some of the deeds in that area will give you reputation, but either way, whenever you are kindred with them, the rewards vendor is actually here in Stangard in this little area here. So let me briefly read about them. Let me go here to reputation. So heroes of the Limlight Gorge. The beasts of the Limlight Gorge pose a threat to the people of Stangard. Yet there are few brave enough to face such deadly creatures. Fewer still that live to tell the tale of their heroism around the campfire in the years to come. Alright. So here's the reputation vendor for them.
How may the Rohirrim be of service to you?
So you can get some token barter. So if you have a lot of silver but not enough gold, you can get a couple of the gold ones. And so actually, I need to grab at least a couple more gold ones because I'm going to need 80 gold ones, I think, in total. Alright, so you can see there's a lot of different things here. There is going to be... Well, let me go to Kindred. That's what really matters. There's a lot of different pieces of jewelry that you can use, which could be helpful to your cause. But as always, the things I'm mostly interested in is going to be the steeds. So there are 2 steeds that you can get here. The prized Easterling steed and then the wayward Easterling steed. So I'm going to grab both of these. Very good. And then let me go over here and show both of them. So this is the prized Easterling steed. And it's pretty nice. It's a pretty basic design, which I really like, but that saddle is really spiffy. So this is actually a pretty cool mount, one that I would use definitely. There's also the wayward Easterling pony. And not too much different, just a little bit more fanciful on the saddle here, which looks pretty nice in my opinion. Definitely like this pony for sure. Now also with the Heroes of the Limlight Gorge, there is this guy. There's the instance upgrades.
Welcome, friend.
So these little unhatched spider eggs you get from the Roots of Fangorn instance, and you can upgrade some of your items that you get from the other guy. So if you get some of these from the instances or from bartering, you can upgrade it even further. And maybe some of these are better, like this pocket item may be a little bit better for me. 677 morale, 292 agility, that's like an extra 100 agility. So that might be good for me, but not really going to worry about too much of that anyways. And besides that, not much else here. So there's the Vagabond in case you don't have it. I could get it and then just upgrade it even more. I don't know if I want to. Should I? Is it worth it? Is it worth it? I don't know. I did make a spreadsheet to see, you know, I can just plug in the stats of different items side by side and see which one is better, but I'm not going to go through the trouble because I'm not too interested at this point. Okay, so the next reputation faction here is the Riders of Stangard. So let me pull up their description here. And the Riders of Stangard keep watch over the northernmost extent of Rohan, keeping a particular eye on the Undeep's cover which the Easterlings have historically crossed to attack Rohan. Lately, they have also noted a growing presence of orcs and trolls out of the Misty Mountains to the northwest, and feared that the greater incursion may soon follow. So again, similar to the other one, you gain reputation with them by doing quests here in the Great River, doing some of the deeds in the Great River. There are repeatable quests that you can do, all sorts of good stuff.
It is wise for wanderers to equip themselves well.
But when you are kindred with them, there are some jewelry that you can get as well that may be helpful. But I am interested in this, Return to Stangard, which will give me more travel ability. And then also the prized Stangard steed. Those are the 2 things that I'm after here. So let me grab that. And let me grab my Return to Stangard. Very good. And let's see. Yeah, those are automatically bestowed to me. So let me look at this pony, the prized Stangard pony. And not too bad. Again, fairly clean look here. I like that green. It's a nice pony. I think this is the one I'm going to go into Rohan with, just because it's got some of the Rohan logos on it. It looks pretty nice. It looks pretty nice. So, let me switch it out with my current one here, and then my return to Stangard. I could put it up here, but I'm just going to get rid of it for now. Very good. And then there are some crafting recipes here as well that you can get, depending on how you barter now. That's really it. That's really it in terms of the reputations here in the Great River area. And that is it, my friends. That is everything here in terms of the deeds and the reputation in the Great River. And I really enjoyed this one. Again, it was the first season kind of back to normal, to the normal swing of things for this playthrough. So it was a very special one for me. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. But it's time to look ahead towards new and more exciting things in Rohan. Now, you may remember way back in the day, I don't even remember when I got this, but I got this letter in the mail called Rohan Awaits. Or it starts a quest called Rohan Awaits. And for some reason, I can't use it. This is very anticlimactic. My God. Did I already accept it? I might have already accepted. Yeah, there you go. Rohan Awaits. So it says, cross the bridge into Rohan and talk to Rohirrim. So, Rohan is south of the Great River. It's best reached by riding south from Parth Celebrant across the Anduin by bridge, which is this bridge right here. You have received a strange letter in a familiar scrawl. Its message is clear. You should make haste to the land of Rohan where the Horse Lords rule. For many great and terrible events are converging in that fair place. So that being said, let's make this quest active, and let's ride into Rohan. And finish up this quest, finally. So here we go, let's talk to this guard.
Our mission is dire.
Rohan? Yes, you have come to the northern border of the Wold. The town of Langhold is not far. If it is hospitality you seek, I am from there, but I am on an errand to Stangard now. Just head south along the road. You will not miss Langhold where Uhtred is staying. Alright. You have crossed into Rohan at last. However, my friends, we will not be heading into Rohan via this route. If you remember in the episode before this one, we were doing the epic storyline, and actually the next step in it is going to sail me down the Anduin into a different part of Rohan, and that's how we're going to be landing there. So, that's where we'll pick up in the next episode, in the epic storyline, exactly where we left off at the end of the last episode. So, I hope you're ready for that, hope you're excited, and see you in the plains of Rohan for another exciting adventure.